In the endless black of space lies a world untouched by time, abandoned by reason, and cursed beyond redemption. A world where whispers fill the air, shadows writhe in silence, and something ancient waits, hungry and patient. This is Erebus 7, the ghost planet, a place no one escapes. What happened to the crew of the Odyssey Sigma when they dared to set foot on its cursed surface? Let's dive into the haunting mystery of this forsaken world. Before we unravel the eerie secrets of Erebus 7, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're bringing you chilling tales of horror, aliens, and the supernatural every week. Now, let's embark on this terrifying journey together. The Lyra cluster had always been a dead zone. Scanners passed over it for decades, reporting little of interest. No habitable worlds, no significant resources, no life. But in 2156, a new satellite array picked up something anomalous. A faint but undeniable energy signature emanating from a planet orbiting a dim, dying star. The planet was named Erebus 7. Scientists were baffled. The energy readings fluctuated unpredictably, as though responding to observation. The planet's surface temperature shifted wildly within hours, despite no visible weather patterns. But most intriguing and unsettling was its surface. Images revealed an endless expanse of jagged, black crystal formations that shimmered faintly under the light of its sun. Curiosity and ambition led to the launch of the Odyssey Sigma, a scientific expedition tasked with uncovering the truth of Erebus 7. Its crew of 8 were the best Earth had to offer. Captain Lila Moreno, whose reputation for leading dangerous missions made her a natural choice. Dr. Ethan Kane, a geologist obsessed with uncharted worlds. Dr. Amelia Cross, a biologist determined to discover new life forms. Jacob Vance, the fearless pilot. Marcus Vale, a technician whose humor kept morale high. Elena Rivers, a linguist and communications expert. Samira Yates, the engineer who could fix anything. Dr. Callum Rourke, a psychologist brought in to ensure mental stability. They believed they were ready for anything. They were wrong. The Odyssey Sigma descended through the hazy atmosphere of Erebus 7, its crew captivated by the strange, shimmering landscape below. The planet seemed to ripple, as if alive, its surface an alien tapestry of crystalline spires and shadowy plains. "Atmosphere stable," said Elena Rivers, her voice steady but uncertain. "But there's something odd. The air density fluctuates, like it's breathing." "Breathing?" Captain Moreno raised an eyebrow. "Figure of speech," Elena muttered, though she looked unconvinced. The landing itself was uneventful, yet as soon as the ship's stabilizers touched the ground, a low, resonant hum filled the cabin. "Feedback from the engines?" asked Marcus Vale, adjusting his headset. "No," replied Samira Yates, scanning the systems. "It's external, coming from the ground." Captain Moreno looked out at the shimmering landscape. "Let's move out. I want a full survey before nightfall." The surface of Erebus 7 was like nothing the crew had ever seen. The ground was black and porous, as though carved from volcanic glass. The towering crystal spires refracted light in unnatural ways, casting long, shifting shadows. The air was eerily still, yet heavy, pressing against their suits like an unseen force. Dr. Cross knelt beside a crystalline shard, examining its surface. "This isn't natural. These formations, they're growing almost like a living organism." "Living rocks," Marcus chuckled nervously. "Now I've seen everything." But when Dr. Kane took a closer look, his face darkened. "She's not wrong. The molecular structure is changing, reacting to us." They continued deeper into the field, their unease growing with every step. The shadows seemed to stretch and shift unnaturally, as though the spires themselves were watching. That night, the whispers began. At first, they were faint, almost imperceptible. A soft static that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Is anyone else hearing that?" Marcus asked, sitting bolt upright in his cot. The others exchanged uneasy glances. "It's probably the wind," Jacob Vance offered. "There is no wind," Dr. Kane muttered, his face pale. The whispers grew louder, clearer. They were voices, disjointed and fragmented, speaking in languages no one recognized. Yet somehow they felt familiar. "Come back. Don't leave us, help." By morning, the crew was exhausted, their nerves frayed. But the worst was yet to come. Marcus Vale vanished on the second morning of their stay. He had been assigned to repair a malfunctioning sensor on the perimeter of the camp, a task he volunteered for with his usual upbeat demeanor. "I could use a break from all the doom and gloom," he joked, slinging his toolkit over his shoulder. The rest of the crew watched him disappear into the shimmering haze of the crystal field. The air was unnervingly quiet, the oppressive silence only broken by the faint hum of the crystals. Then came the scream. It wasn't a normal cry for help. It was guttural, choked, and abruptly cut off by a burst of static over the comms. "Marcus!" Captain Moreno's voice was sharp as she grabbed her communicator. "Marcus, respond." The only reply was a distorted crackling, punctuated by faint whispers. A search party was quickly organized. They found him less than 50 meters from his assigned post, sprawled on the ground. His body was contorted in ways that defied anatomy, his limbs twisted like a broken marionette. His face was the most horrifying sight of all, frozen in a rictus of abject terror, his eyes wide and bloodshot. "What the hell?" Elena whispered, taking a step back. Dr. Cross knelt beside him, her trembling hands performing a cursory examination. "His skin, it's dry, completely devoid of moisture, as if he's been mummified. And look at his eyes. They're—" She trailed off, unable to articulate the horror. "It's like something drained him," Dr. Rourke said quietly, his voice filled with unease. "Drained what?" Moreno demanded. "His blood." "No," Rourke replied, shaking his head. "Something deeper. His life force." A tremor rippled beneath their feet, faint but unmistakable, as if the planet itself was responding to their discovery. "We need to regroup," Moreno ordered, her voice tight. "Get back to the ship. Now." The crew returned to the ship, their initial curiosity now replaced with mounting dread. Marcus's body was placed in the medical bay, but no one could bring themselves to examine it further. That night, the whispers grew louder. They were no longer disjointed murmurs but coherent voices, calling out to each crew member in familiar tones. "Ethan, it's me. Don't you recognize my voice? Lila, come closer. Let me see you again." Each voice belonged to someone they knew. Friends, family, loved ones long gone. The illusion was almost perfect, but there was something wrong. A hollow edge to the words that sent shivers down their spines. "It's playing with us," Rourke said, pacing the room. "This entity, whatever it is, it's not just feeding. It's manipulating us, probing our minds, using our memories against us." Dr. Kane's face was pale. "Those crystals, are they alive? Are they part of it?" "They're conduits," Rourke said grimly. "Conduits for whatever's controlling this place. And it's intelligent." The crew spent the following hours in tense deliberation, but the entity did not wait for their conclusions. By morning, Jacob Vance was missing. They found Jacob near the edge of a vast crystal canyon, his body standing perfectly upright, as though held aloft by unseen strings. His head tilted unnaturally, his blank eyes staring into the abyss. When they approached, his body collapsed to the ground like a lifeless doll. A thick, black residue coated his hands and face, its origins unknown. "He's empty," Dr. Cross murmured, her voice trembling. "There's nothing left of him." Captain Moreno clenched her fists. "We need answers. Fast." The remaining crew began experiencing vivid hallucinations. Dr. Cross saw her late sister, standing among the crystals, beckoning her with a smile. Rourke heard the cries of a child, echoing in the distance. A sound that shouldn't exist on this desolate planet. The worst was Captain Moreno's vision. She awoke one night to see her entire crew standing at the foot of her cot, their eyes hollow, their mouths whispering incoherent words. When she blinked, they were gone. "It's inside our heads," Moreno muttered, her voice a mix of rage and fear. "It's breaking us down, one by one." By the fifth day, Only Moreno, Kane, and Elena remained. They knew they couldn't survive much longer. The crystals seemed to pulse stronger with every death, their hum now a constant vibration in the air. "We have to destroy it," Moreno declared. "How?" Elena asked, her voice barely a whisper. "We overload the ship's reactor," Moreno said, her eyes hard. "If we can destabilize the energy field, it might be enough to stop it." As they prepared the reactor, the entity made its final move. It appeared as a shadowy figure, its form shifting and undulating, its voice a chorus of despair. "You cannot escape," it whispered. "This place is mine, and so are you." The air grew heavy, pressing down on them like a physical weight. Kane screamed as tendrils of darkness wrapped around him, pulling him into the void. "Run!" Moreno shouted, shoving Elena toward the control panel. With trembling hands, Elena activated the reactor. The ship's alarms blared as the countdown began. "You think you can defy me?" the entity roared, its voice shaking the ground. "I am eternal. You are nothing." The explosion was blinding, a searing wave of light and heat that consumed the ship, the crystals, and everything in its path. Weeks later, a rescue team arrived, drawn by the faint remnants of a distress signal. They found the wreckage of the Odyssey Sigma, but no survivors. The landscape was eerily pristine, the crystals untouched and pulsing faintly. As the team prepared to leave, one of them paused, feeling a vibration beneath their feet. A whisper reached their ears. "Stay, join us." The team fled, leaving Erebus 7 behind. But the planet remained, waiting for its next visitors. If this story sent shivers down your spine, like and share it with your fellow thrill seekers. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales of horror and the unknown. The universe is vast, and its darkest corners are yet to be explored.